Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode. In today's special episode, we'll be covering a wildcard plan if you are wildcarding in Game Week 9. What we'll be covering today is we'll be looking at fixtures to target. Thereafter, we'll be looking at key players to target per position. And ending off, we've got two exciting wildcard drafts for Game Week 9 and how you can transfer and navigate your way to Game Week 13. However, before we start off, please remember to like, smash that subscribe button. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm and we are looking forward to growing this channel. Also follow us on Twitter at FPL_A+. Feel free to join our FPL mini league. Okay, so looking at the key fixtures to target from Game Week 9 to Game Week 13. On screen you'll see fixtures that are in various colors. The green fixtures are the FTR or the fixture difficulty rating that's been assigned to it as being relatively easy or easier. The red would be the most difficult fixtures, being the light red, and then you've got the dark red, which is the most difficult out of them, and then the white is kind of in between easy and your difficult fixtures. So starting off on top, we have got Arsenal fixtures. If you're looking at fixtures to target, nothing really in Game Week 9 or 10. I would say Game Week 11, 13 and 14, they look quite juicy. Game Week 12 is a blank, so just be careful if you do bring in players before Game Week 12 that you've got sufficient cover for them. Then looking at Aston Villa fixtures, they are looking quite good. To start off with, Chelsea might be quite a tough one, but then thereafter there's Fulham again. Only thing is Aston Villa have been very up and down this season, not very consistent. They are struggling a bit in defense as well. Utd has also now recently picked up an injury, so not sure when he will be back. Coutinho has struggled. Ollie Watkins and Ings have not started consistently. So the key thing with Aston Villa is which players do you target. No one really stands out. Even their goalkeeper Martinez, that was a revelation at Arsenal not too long ago, he's also been rather average. So it is quite tricky. My suggestion is if you are bringing in Aston Villa players, don't bring in the more expensive players, as just in case they are not in the best of form, then it could be more value that's lost. Someone like Tyrone Mings, if he is guaranteed to start, he could be at 4.3 million, someone as a bench fodder, and then he could also play the occasional match. Looking at the next fixture for the next team, we've got Bournemouth starting off Brentford. That could be a tough one. Then they've got Leicester, they've got Fulham, they've got Southampton, they've got West Ham. So that's actually quite a nice run. Not many players from Bournemouth that you would want to bring in. However, Solanke at 5.7 million is a player that you could target. So that's a nice run to have if you do want to fund the saving that you make on Solanke versus other higher price players. You could bring in more premium players. Then looking at Brentford, they've got Bournemouth, Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea. Those are not necessarily the best fixtures, and thereafter it gets a little bit easier. So that's Game Week 13 onwards. So just one fixture to target Game Week 9. Other than that, nothing really in the short term. Looking at Brighton, their fixtures are looking quite tough. Besides the one fixture that's Nottingham Forest, everything looks quite tough. I would say probably avoid Brighton at this stage. Then Chelsea, Crystal Palace, and then there's Champions League, Wolves, Champions League, Aston Villa, Brentford, Man United, Champions League, Brighton, Champions League, Arsenal. Doesn't really scream that you need to have a lot of Chelsea players. I would say at this stage probably one could be fine, and if they somehow do turn it on and there's a player that stands out, then that's fine. Also you could look for value players. For instance, the new Chelsea owner, Todd Bowley, is American. is he hoping to try to bring in Christian Pulisic, who is also an American. His price has dropped to 5.7 million, and if he starts playing and he does well, he could be unbelievable value. So one just to keep an eye on. So yeah, nothing really major I'd say to bring in from Chelsea. Perhaps Reece James, he could be one that could give you some attacking returns if they don't keep clean sheets. Then we've got Tottenham Hotspur looking Chelsea. That could be maybe not the easiest of games, but you'd expect Spurs would probably win that one. Then look at this patch in the middle. This looks pretty good. Leeds, Leicester, Wolves, Everton, Southampton. So those are definitely players to consider to target. And then if you're looking at Everton, they've got Southampton, they've got Manchester United, Tottenham Hotspur, Newcastle, Crystal Palace, Fulham. I'd say it's just the one fixture to target in Game Week 9. Thereafter, a couple of tougher fixtures, and thereafter it eases off. So I wouldn't really want to start these players. So if you're bringing in a player like Gordon and you're benching him for these tougher fixtures, I think that could work. Or someone like Patterson, then you could bench for the difficult fixtures and bring him in back for some of the easier fixtures. Then looking at Fulham, Newcastle, West Ham, not the easiest of fixtures, and then there's Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Leeds, Everton. So I would say more from Game Week 14 onwards, from Game Week 11 onwards. Then looking at Leicester City, we've got Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Wolves. That's very, very juicy run of fixtures there. So only thing is with Leicester, they have not been in the best of form. However, they are quite an attacking team. So if they're going to lose a match, they'll often lose a match 3-2 or 5-3. So they do inevitably end up scoring. James Maddison is definitely high on the radar. And there could be a couple of other players you could also target, but I wouldn't recommend much given their form and also their inconsistency. So James Maddison, I would suggest, is almost essential for this run of fixtures. Then we've got Leeds, and then Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, Arsenal. Those fixtures not the best. However, we've then got Leicester and Fulham. So if you want to target Leeds, I would say probably these three fixtures over there you could potentially target. Okay, and then it becomes a bit tougher. So you don't want to be playing targeting players and then they are playing tough opposition. Liverpool, Brighton, Champions League, Arsenal, Manchester City, not really the easiest. Liverpool could beat anyone, as we are aware. They are a premium team. However, there could be value elsewhere. And looking at these fixtures from game week 12 onwards, they are looking much better. So I would say from game week 12 onwards, you would probably look at having at least 2 Liverpool players. Before that, I would say not more than 1. Okay, then looking at Manchester City, you've got Man United, then you've got Southampton, and you've got Champions League also in between. You've got Liverpool, then you've got a blank. So first things first, you don't want to have too many Manchester City players. I would say try to restrict it to probably 1 or 2. Erling Haaland seems almost essential, so he's likely to occupy the 1 position. He could score against any of these teams. And then Joao Cancelo is also most likely the one that many people will target. I would suggest avoiding the 3rd player until after this blank game week has actually taken place, so that you don't need to bench a player instead of another player that could bring in more value. Manchester United, their fixtures: Manchester City, Everton, Newcastle, Spurs, Chelsea. Relatively, except for Everton, quite a tough run, so I would say avoid for now. Also, given their form and with the new coach, you want them to settle down first. So if they come out of these tough matches in relatively good form, even if they don't win all of them, you can then go ahead and most likely start bringing in Man United players. Looking at Newcastle, Fulham, that should be a good fixture. Brentford home shouldn't be too bad. Man United away, that might be a tricky one. Everton home should be quite good. So I would say Newcastle, probably one player that could probably be brought in, 2 at a stretch. And then looking at Nottingham Forest, Leicester, Aston Villa, Wolves, Brighton. Given the form that Nottingham Forest find themselves in and the spread of points, not many players that I would recommend that are consistent, even Neco Williams. There are better options, but if you are really stretched, then I would suggest Neco Williams, or if you are looking for a punt, one of their forwards, you could potentially go for it, but be aware that they might not be very consistent. And then looking at Southampton, Everton, Manchester City, West Ham, Bournemouth, very up and down fixtures, and also the form that Southampton have been in, I would say avoid for now. Looking at Tottenham Hotspur, we have got Arsenal, Champions League, we've got Brighton, we've got Champions League, we've got Everton, Man United, Newcastle, Champions League. So not the easiest of fixtures, except perhaps, let's say, the Everton match. The others could be all relatively tough. So for me, it would be a void up until these tougher fixtures are out of the way. West Ham have got Wolves, Fulham, Southampton. Those fixtures look pretty good. West Ham have not been in the best of form, so that's the first overriding fact. If they can find form, then I would definitely say to bring in some of the players. If you do want to bring in a player such as Emerson, because for budget restriction purposes, that could be a good player to bring in. Or if you want to have a punt on Bowen, who hasn't been in the best of form, that could also be an option. Alternatively, their goalkeeper Fabianski at 5 million could also have quite a few clean sheets and saves in these fixtures. And looking at Wolves, have got West Ham, Chelsea, not the best of fixtures there. And then thereafter, they've got Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace, Leicester. Those 3 fixtures are pretty decent. So I would say if you're bringing in any Wolves players, possibly a defender, you could target one of those 3 fixtures. Or if you have seen one of the attackers being on reasonably good form in the previous 2 fixtures, if Diego Costa plays at 5.5 million and he looks like he's really sharp, or Podence or Neto, then you could target one of them. But I would probably say rather a defender, as it is probably easier to bench. So that's it basically in terms of the wrap, in terms of the fixtures to target on the wildcard and how to plan which players to bring in from which teams from game week 9 to game week 13. So looking now at the key players to target per position. Firstly, starting off with the goalkeeper. The goalkeepers that we are looking at after we've had a look at the fixtures. Nick Pope at 5.2 million. Looking at these fixtures, next he's got Fulham away, Brentford, Manchester United, Everton, and then Tottenham. I would say he would probably be a keep if he does well in those fixtures. Sort of a season keeper, as he makes lots of saves. However, if Newcastle show any of the recent lapses in concentration in defence, and Nick Pope as well, then you might possibly want to cut your losses around that Everton game and look for an alternative option. The second goalkeeper that has got a high priority on our rating list at this stage, probably the first choice if you're looking at a game week 9 wildcard, is Vincent Guaita at 4.5 million. He's got Chelsea next, then Leeds, then Leicester, then Wolves, then Everton. Those fixtures after the Chelsea match are looking quite good, and he's definitely someone at that price that, given the normal standard that Crystal Palace operate in terms of defence, where they are very solid, you'd expect him to keep quite a few clean sheets and make lots of saves. The other option that we are looking at for our goalkeeper is Lucas Fabianski, the veteran from West Ham at 5 million. He has got an unbelievable record in the Premier League, and in actual fact in FPL He has often been in the top 4 goalkeepers in terms of saves. He makes lots of saves. He's also known to actually have quite a few penalty saves also in his locket. So there is definitely a keeper that you could rely on. If we're looking at his fixtures, he's got Wolves, Fulham, Southampton, then it's just Liverpool, that's the top one, and Bournemouth. So those are definitely very good fixtures that could present itself with lots of points for Fabianski owners. Next, looking at the defender, the key options, we've got Joao Cancelo at 7.2 million. It's quite a price to pay. However, given the fact that he has been playing on the right side with Walker that's been injured, he seems to be very attacking and thriving in that role. So he's definitely one that could perform to the degree of an attacker, and not thinking of him just as a defender. The clean sheet points that he gets is just a bonus. His fixtures that he has got is Manchester United, Southampton, then Liverpool, then he blanks, and then he's got Brighton. So he's got a bit of a mixed bag. However, keep in mind that this is Manchester City we're talking about, and they can keep a clean sheet. In actual fact, while Cancelo often thrives against some of the top teams. The next defender that we've got is Kieran Trippier from Newcastle at 5.4 million. His fixtures that he's got is Fulham, Brentford, Manchester United, Everton, and Tottenham Hotspur. So those fixtures are relatively good, and with Kieran Trippier, that is on a lot of set pieces, he's on free kicks, he's the captain, mostly guaranteed 90 minutes. He's definitely someone that you can rely on, and he's been in unbelievable form so far. The third defender that we've got as our key option is Reece James at 6 million. The fixtures that he's got is Crystal Palace, Wolves, Aston Villa, Brentford, and Manchester United. So those fixtures are also pretty decent for Chelsea. Just keep in mind, Chelsea haven't been in the best of form recently. However, with Graham Potter taking over as manager, the view is that they should hopefully be much more solid at the back. And if they are more solid at the back, that means likely that Reece James should get clean sheet points, and he should also be able to thrive in attacking going forward. Looking at midfielder key options at this stage for game week 9. Firstly, we've got Wilfried Zaha, 7.2 million. He's been in great form, looks like a player that really is focused this year. And his fixtures that he's got is Chelsea, Leeds, Leicester, Wolves, and Everton. He is on penalties and the talisman for Crystal Palace, and with those fixtures there should be lots of opportunities. So he's definitely one that is top on our wish list if we had to bring in a player next. The next player that we've got in midfield is James Maddison, 7.9 million. His fixtures that he's got is Nottingham Forest, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, Leeds, and Wolves. That fixture run is amazing, and for a player such as James Maddison that is on set pieces, free kicks, he's involved in everything that Leicester City do, he should definitely be racking up the points. Just be aware that Leicester is not in the best of form. However, they are very attacking, so there could be some inconsistent points. However, most likely when Leicester are scoring, the chances are high that Maddison would be involved. The next player that we've got is Luis Diaz from Liverpool at 8.2 million. He's been a bit hot and cold during this year. However, with Diego Jota that's coming back, and with Liverpool's fixtures that are easing, as we can see, they've got Brighton next, Arsenal, Manchester City. Okay, those are probably not easing yet. Thereafter, I would say West Ham, Nottingham Forest. There should be good opportunities for Luis Diaz to actually get lots of chances. He's been one of the most involved players in the Liverpool team in terms of goal scoring action and heat maps. So he's been very unlucky in terms of missing opportunities, not being very clinical. I think looking at last season, he was definitely much more clinical and showed that he definitely had a goal scoring touch to him. He's definitely one, if you are a bit unsure about Mo Salah and you don't want to invest so much money, he's definitely one that you can actually place less reliance on and still hopefully get some sort of FPL points from the Liverpool attack. Looking at the forward options, firstly we've got Dominic Solanke at 5.7 million, presents unbelievable value, especially if you consider that Bournemouth have got some great fixtures coming up. Next they've got Brentford, then we've got the great run Leicester, Fulham, Southampton and West Ham. The 5.7 million presents you with so much that you can save in the front line that you can then allow yourself to invest in more premium players elsewhere in your team. The next forward option that we've got is Harry Kane, 11.4 million. Next he's got the North London derby, Arsenal. We know he does often quite well in there. Brighton, Everton, Manchester United and Newcastle. So he's looking like back to his best this season. Does not have any transfer bogeys like last season where there was the pending transfer to Manchester City that did impact on his performance. This season he's got the World Cup on his mind, and he's got Antonio Conte, who is drilling the team to new heights, so you can expect much more top performances from Harry Kane. The next player that we've got as a key forward option is Ivan Toney, 7.2 million. He's got Bournemouth next, then Newcastle, Brighton, Chelsea and Aston Villa. Some good fixtures in there, and definitely one that has taken his game to the next level this year. He's on penalties, he's captain, he can also take brilliant free kicks as we saw recently, and he definitely is someone that ticks over and is always involved. So that's basically the options that we've got. These are not all the options that we would recommend you to consider for your wildcard. However, these are just some standard options that we have recommended at this stage. Okay, so for the most exciting part of this video, we have got two wildcard plans. On the left hand side we have got wildcard plan number 1, which is a Mo Salah team. On the right hand side we have got wildcard plan number 2, which is a no Mo Salah team. So starting at the back, we have got Guaita in both teams. Then we've got Val Cancelo in both teams. We've got Trippier in both teams, and Patterson. Mo Salah is on the team on the left, team 1, versus Luis Diaz, team number 2. We've got Wilfried Zaha, Gabriel Martinelli and James Maddison in both teams. Then we've got Solanke in team number 1 versus Ivan Toney, and then we've got Harry Kane and Erling Haaland in both teams. On the bench we've got Ward in team number 1, as well as Emerson, Mings and Colback. Team number 2 we've got Ward, Andreas, James and Mings. So basically the main difference is we've got Salah and Solanke versus Luis Diaz and Toney. Those are the main differences for the team that is actually playing. So which team do you actually prefer from this? If you also have a look at the bench, the Mo Salah team, the bench is more weaker, whereas in the No Salah team you can still afford to have James, bench him, and also Andreas, who's a slight upgrade probably on Colback. Moving on to the plan for the next game week. So game week number 2, no transfers will be made in team number 1 because the team is quite solid to already in terms of the various matches. Team number 2, you have got a luxury transfer where you can actually replace Toney, who only had the one good fixture, with Mitrovic, who's got a slightly better fixture. So that's the move in game week 10. Moving to game week number 11, the move is in team number 1, where Kane is downgraded to Mitrovic because he's got a good fixture, slightly better than Kane. Mitrovic plays against Bournemouth at home, and you would definitely want him. Team number 2 already has got Mitrovic bought in from the previous week. Kane's fixture against Everton could also be quite a rosy fixture. However, this transfer is more of a long-term move. Moving on to game week 12. Okay, so game week 12 is the week where Arsenal and Manchester City blank, so please make sure that you don't have more than 3 Manchester City and Arsenal players, else you would be forced to make a transfer, or you would have a player that's going to blank. So you'll see there's 3 players in team number 1 from those 2 teams, as well as 3 players from team number 2. So if you look at the move, team number 1, the move is Emerson to Matip. So if you're looking at Matip, he plays against West Ham. Okay, and that was funded after the downgrade from Kane to Mitrovic. So that's the reason why that move was done. So if you're looking at team number 2, Trippier to Matip as well, as Trippier has got a more tougher fixture and Matip has got the easier fixture at home at Anfield. Okay, then moving on to game week number 13, you can bring your Manchester City and Arsenal players back on as they play again, and they've got pretty decent fixtures. The transfers, we've got 2 transfers in this team number 1. Solanke moves to Jesus, as Jesus has a relatively easy fixture in Southampton, and Trippier moves to Saliba, as Saliba plays against Southampton. Then looking at team number 2, the transfer is Mings to Saliba. So that's how we are looking to end off game week 13. If you look at the main differences at the back, it's exactly the same. If we look at the midfield, we've got Salah versus Diaz. The other 3 midfielders are exactly the same. We've got the front 3, we've got Haaland and Mitrovic, that is the same. And then it is basically it's Jesus versus Kane. On the bench, we've got the benefit of James, whereas we have got Mings on team number 1. So the no Salah team gives you a slightly better depth on the bench. However, there could sometimes be bench points as well. So in summary, if you're looking at these 2 teams, which one do you think is the better team that you can navigate to? It's basically a Salah and Jesus team versus a Kane and a Luis Diaz team, and with the benefit of James on the bench versus Mings. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope this wildcard plan did assist you. Please remember to stay flexible. This is just to guide you in terms of possible transfers and setting up your team. Otherwise, all the best for game week 9, your planning. Until next time, cheerio.